Today, while I'm filming this, is officially my 1-year work anniversary, so I've been a full-time employee at Microsoft for a year now. Let's talk about 3 key lessons that I've learned in my first year in industry. Hi, I'm Laura, a PM working in tech, and on my channel I cover my life working as a PM, my life working in tech, and other computer science related advice. The first lesson I really want to talk about is who cares if you get it wrong? Regardless of whether you're a software engineer or a product manager or still a student, you're going to have to do something at some point in which you feel like you're not ready for, or that picked the wrong person, or that you simply feel like you just don't have the knowledge to do at this point in time. Or maybe this time your manager has told you that you're going to be assigned to a high visibility project and it's going to have your name all over it and written in bright colors. Speaking from experience, having gone through a throwaway project, small other features, and just wrapping up my first larger project, you're almost never going to feel ready for the next big challenge that comes thrown at you. But honestly, in order to grow and get better at your job, you have to be challenged and given things that you feel like you're not ready for to be able to actually prove and demonstrate to yourself, most importantly, that you are capable of doing these things that you may not have thought of otherwise. Regardless of what it is though, if you're on a good team and you have a supportive manager, you're never going to be alone. There's always going to be someone to help you out, especially your manager, that can help you brainstorm solutions or figure out a way to pivot something if it's just not working out for you, or you're blocked and having a really hard time figuring out what the next step should be. But there's no point in stalling something out and waiting to do something, or saying no to leading a big project that your manager thinks you're capable of doing if you're simply afraid of just getting it wrong. Yes, there's probably going to be some impact to the business or product if you don't get it right on the first try, or you don't hit your initial success metric that you're aiming for. But I think you have to realize that this is way more normal than it may seem, where people actually fail all the time and they use that to iterate and learn from their mistakes. You've probably heard this many times over, but it's hard to internalize until you actually see it happen to someone else and you see how they pivot and learn from it too. Maybe there's an external reliance on another team whose priorities shifted and they don't have funding to support the project that you and your team are really so desperately relying on this other team to get done. Or you also just plain and simple miscalculated, didn't really understand the customer's problem, and built the wrong thing to solve the wrong problem. In most real life scenarios, things aren't this extreme, but they could be. If you didn't hit your target 90% and you fell flat at around a 20 or 30%, reevaluate what you did and how you can plan for next quarter's goals a little bit better. If you plan for 90% and hit 80%, that's pretty good all around. Or if you're completely blocked and they get a chance to start any work at all in the quarter for this goal, what can you do next quarter to actually help unblock you here and get the work started in the first place? Especially if you're new to this role, it can be really overwhelming to be in charge of something, but take it as an immense privilege. You get to be the decision maker of things, you get to figure out where things should go, and you get to really decide the future of what this thing looks like. 2, you're never going to feel like you're immediately going to get it or have all the knowledge that you need to be comfortable. Even if you intern at this company before and your whole family and your dog and your cat have also worked at this company, you're still unlikely to feel comfortable and satisfied and understanding everything in the world around you when you're just starting out in your new role. Things change over time. There's going to be a lot of context and people that you don't know yet that are going to be really important for your success in your role. As someone who's gone through the onboarding process for 2 different teams in a single year, the process is going to look different for every single team, and the way that you onboard may look different from person to person as well. For example, an intern is going to be different from a new grad, and that's going to be a whole lot different from a senior as well. I can safely say though that the learning curve may not feel steep, but once you kind of get in the weeds and start digging through your first few tasks, you're going to realize how much you don't know and how many questions you have, and finding the right people to answer those questions for you is a monumental task in and of itself. Even if you've been on the team for a couple of months or even close to a year, if this is an entirely new area for you, you're probably going to feel a smidge uncomfortable, at least at the beginning of this project. Totally normal, and ask all the questions in the world that you need to get to a comfortable stage, or at least to start taking the first couple of steps forward in this new project. As I mentioned though, everyone learns at their own pace, so even if there's another new grad starting on your team and you feel like you're already behind, stop. It's not worth it to compare yourself and just get into this rat race mentality of how you can be better than the other person, and that it's a zero-sum game and you're directly fighting each other for your performance. Every meeting, feature, piece of code you read through, and documentation that you scroll through is going to be an immensely helpful thing in building your knowledge over time. Of course, on the day-to-day, you're not going to really notice that you've leveled up your knowledge, but look back in a couple of months and you'll see how much you've actually learned over the course of that time period and how much improvements you've made. On my last project about containers, I knew absolutely nothing basically, and now at the end of this project, I feel pretty confident answering most of the questions that I receive about the scope, impact, and scale of this project. It's definitely a slow game, but I think it's so important to keep track of these small wins like this, because one day you will wake up and realize that you knew more than you did the day before, and everything is going to start to click into place slowly. You're going to attend a meeting and see yourself asking these cool questions everyone else has asked before you in the past in similar meetings, and you're going to be the key conversation driver in this meeting. Or you're going to answer an email and have all the best responses that a customer is going to be extremely satisfied with and thankful that you responded. And celebrate that, and also be aware that you're going to go through this journey all over again when it comes to a new project, new area, new team, or what have you. The third and last key lesson is that you don't have to solve everything. Not everything that you encounter during your day-to-day tasks has to be something that you go chase down and solve for someone else. There are probably a lot of small things your team doesn't have that would be nice to have that may improve the quality of life a little bit, but offer an immense time trade-off. Maybe this is overall updating documentation, maybe this is onboarding a new team member, maybe this is chasing down customers or responding to support emails, or writing a whole new onboarding guide for new employees to the company or to the team. Basically, think of this as something that's not part of your job description and something that your manager wouldn't actually assign you as a task to go do. In certain cases, though, these may be tasks that you do get assigned. For example, if you're a senior engineer or senior PM, part of your job is actually mentoring and fostering talent and making sure that you are helping out the younger engineer employees figure out what's going on. But as a new grad, that's really not your job. You're supposed to get your own learning in tow, get up to speed on everything, and figure out what's going on. Basically, utilize the best of the resources that you do have and figure something out if you don't have them. By all means, though, if you have spare time and you want to contribute a quick fix to something that will have a significant impact in the future, do it. But if you're given active bugs or tasks to otherwise go chase down and investigate, then you're probably going to have a better use of your time doing that than doing this other thing that may not actually have dividends for your career. I'll link a great blog post or presentation about this, and it's called Being Glue. Basically, what this means is the more time you spend as a junior employee on unassigned tasks that may not actually have dividends for you in your career, you're going to end up without any time to actually focus on your assigned tasks and the technical skills you need to build to get promoted. From a slightly different perspective though, if you're dealing with something that's a very urgent and critical issue, then maybe some things are also just above your pay grade and you need your manager or leadership to step in and escalate these things for you, or figure out what exactly to do and what the best solution should be here. Chances are, if you feel overwhelmed, take a deep breath and step back and talk with your manager or leadership to figure out what the best next step should be, and remember that you don't have to solve everything out there. Those are the 3 key lessons I wanted to share over the course of my first year in industry. I'm definitely excited to keep learning in my current role and see where the next project takes me and the kinds of skills and lessons I learn along the way. As always, if you want to schedule a coffee chat with me, you can do so at ak.ms/chatwithlaura or join the conversation in my Discord channel linked in the description box down below. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week for a brand new video. Bye!